What's up, guys? My name's Tyler. Welcome to another edition of the Lawn Review. It's about mid-May here in Nashville, and that means most of our spring bloomers have all but spent their blooms. Same is true for the knockout rose bush. The knockout rose is one of my absolute favorite bushes. This is actually a double knockout rose, so when people drive up, it's absurd. It's iridescent. I mean, you can see some of the new blooms. That's ridiculous. But this thing, spins its blooms just like anything else. One of the biggest misconceptions, in my opinion, is that a knockout rose is completely self-sustaining. You don't have to do anything to it. That's not true. While it stays in bloom for a really long time, about 3 to 4 weeks, it looks like this, maybe 2. It fades pretty fast, and it gets these nasty, white, washed out looking blooms that, in my opinion, are pretty unsightly. Yes, it is a self-cleaning bloom where these will just drop off and then it'll look just like this. But in my opinion, that looks pretty terrible. So you do actually need to maintain this, in my opinion. It's not completely hands-off, but there's a particular way in that you want to do it to ensure that the next bloom or the next push is just as strong as the first. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. It's not as simple as just popping it off. I've seen tons of YouTube videos where they're saying all you have to do is walk around and pull these things off. That's not actually true. While you can do that, it's not the most effective way, and it's not going to ensure that the next bloom is just as strong as the first. So today I'm going to walk through exactly how I would deadhead this bush so that it continues to knock out your neighbors. There's a little bit of prep work that needs to be done here. You need to inspect the bush to actually make sure that it's healthy, that the leaves are doing fine, that there's no signs of fungus or mites or anything like that. But you also need to ensure that the blooms are ready to be spent, or not spent, but removed. So I'm gonna take a quick look over this bush. I've got a ton of buds on here, which is exciting for the future, but there is a lot of dead stuff. But there are some blooms that in my opinion, are fine. I don't need to cut it. So I'm gonna take a quick look over the bush to make sure I've identified that now is the right time to cut. All right, guys, so now that we've determined that today is the day that these knockout roses do in fact need to be deadheaded, just a few tools you need to get the job done. We've got a Ryobi pop-up dispenser, something to put the deadhead spent blooms in, just cleaned and sharpened fiskars, pruning shears, and some gloves. Gloves are particularly important when you're working with roses. I get pricked with these things all the time. I tried to be like a tough guy and not use gloves in the past, and honestly, it hurts really bad. They swell up for some reason on me and are really uncomfortable. So I always use gloves now when I'm handling roses. All right, in your shears, you want to make sure that they are cleaned and sharpened. You don't want to transfer any diseases from any other previous jobs to these knockout roses. All right, guys, so now that we've ensured we've got the right tools for the job, it's time to get to cutting. Well, it's not just as simple as just cutting wherever you want on this bush. There's actually a specific location where you need to cut to ensure that the following blooms are as prolific as possible. So I've identified that this is now a spent bloom. So where do I cut on this particular stem? What you do is you find the spent bloom, you follow the stem all the way down to the first set of 5 leaves. Now this one has 4, this one's got 3. Down here you can see 5 leaves right here. So what I do, I come right above that and I cut at a 45-degree angle, just like that. So now you just repeat that same process over the entire bush, making sure you remove all the spent blooms. All right, guys, so the job is done. Most of these knockouts roses have been pruned and they're ready to pop in about 2 to 3 weeks. It's not a teacup rose. You don't have to be incredibly careful with it. You can be pretty rough with knockouts and they'll continue to bounce back. Thanks so much for checking out this week's video. If you don't mind just hitting that subscribe button, smashing that like button. We're going to be putting out a whole bunch more of content like this, how to maintain your plants, how to maintain your grass, best equipment to use, a whole bunch of informative content. So if you guys are interested in that, please make sure you subscribe. We would love some more subscribers. So it's been really fun interacting with you guys in the chat. So if you got any questions, needed any clarity on anything, just throw it in the comment section. See you next time. Keep cutting.